by now, or you have watched my channel, you will know that I am a huge Twilight fan. I will always say this, I know that the series is not perfect. I know that it has flaws. I know that it's problematic in some areas. I am fully aware of that. I love both the movies and the books, purely mostly for nostalgia, I have to be honest, because when I was a teenager, Twilight was very big, and to this day, I still love it. I still count it as one of my favourites of all time. And today, I thought, you know what, let's read some people's unpopular opinions about Twilight, because I probably already know quite a lot of them. You know, Twilight, especially at the time that it came out, it was kind of cool to hate on Twilight. We all know about this. I am going to be mainly focusing on the books rather than movies, as this is a book channel. But there may be some references to the movies, obviously. So yeah, let's get into it. I finally have a video dedicated to Twilight. Like I said, if you watched my videos, I always try not to mention Twilight too much. So this is from a thread on Reddit, which I will link in the description below if you want to read the full Twilight thread or threads. I think I'm going to stick to this one thread that I've seen because it's quite long. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but I will highlight and talk about and discuss with you what I think about some of it. So it starts off strongly with, what are some of your controversials and or I obviously can't speak today, unpopular opinions about the Twilight series? Now again, like I said, I'm going to try and focus more on the books. So if there is more stuff about the movies, I'll probably skip that. But anyway, here are some of mine. So this user has put, Charlie was not a good parent. He only seems good in comparison to Rennie. Ooh. Rennie, as we know, is not a great parent. She's not awful. Like, she's able to meet Bella's basic needs, which doesn't make you a great parent. I totally get that. It just means you're a parent who can meet your child's basic needs. Totally get that. And she doesn't always do that, to be fair. But from what we know anyway, I mean, we don't know specifically, but what we know from Bella's sort of talking to the reader and narration, I guess, and thoughts and opinions and views, that's what we get. That's what's been explained to us, that's what's been told to us. Charlie was not a good parent, he only seems good in comparison to Rennie. Now, because we have, as a reader, lived with Charlie as Bella, we know what Charlie is like as a parent. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, when the series starts, Bella is in the sort of later, what would you call it, late teens, so, you know, almost an adult. I think she's 17 when the book starts, if I remember correctly. She's at that kind of awkward age anyway. Okay, so let's just imagine that Rennie doesn't exist. Like, she doesn't have a mum. Well, people have mums, I get that, but what I mean is, like, either she died really when she was a baby. Let's just go with that. Let's just pretend like, although that could impact Charlie, because I know they're divorced or separated. No, they must be divorced because Rennie remarried. So they're divorced. They have an amicable relationship for the sake of Bella. We understand that. But I wonder if it would have been different. Would he be not as a good parent if she died when he was younger? I know that's not quite what this user's saying, but I'm just trying to imagine, okay, or because that would affect Charlie, wouldn't it? If Rennie was out of the picture completely, like if she just walked away, didn't want anything to do with Bella, or just left Bella in Charlie's care, or if she just died early on, like when Bella was a newborn or something. I don't know, but that would maybe affect Charlie. So maybe we can't quite go with that because that's kind of unfair. I don't know. I've never ever thought Charlie was a bad parent. I've never thought that. He's not the best. You know, he's not the best, but I think weirdly he works well for Bella. Like, he's able to meet Bella's needs in such a way that it's not just her basic needs. It's kind of like, although can he meet her basic needs, because he's not very good at cooking. And as far as I'm aware from my memory, and call me out here if I'm wrong, I do believe that Bella does all of the cooking for her and her father, for their dinners and things like that, from what I remember. Do not think Charlie ever does the cooking, and he does take her out for a meal at like their local diner, but as far as I remember, he doesn't do any cooking. Bella often says like, oh, my dad's unable to even like toast some bread, and I'm like, oh, like, you should probably learn that. You know, you have a daughter, you have children now, you have responsibilities, you need people that need to be fed. That's your responsibility as a parent, is to meet their basic needs. So that kind of, you know, I'm not saying he has to lay out a 3-course meal every day, but come on, like, but then we know that Rennie's not a particularly amazing cook either, as far as we know. So maybe she's just got not very good parents, actually. You know, Bella often does comment on this, you know, the fact that her father and her mother, you know, they got married really, really young, kind of infatuation type love, and it kind of turned into what it is today. You know, they're divorced because they realise they're not actually that compatible. I know parents aren't perfect, you know, we as like the children, the children. We know that, we make exceptions, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think Charlie warrants a bad parent necessarily. I just think he's not the greatest parent. He does love and care for her, and he often shows this quite a lot. He's always there for her when she needs him, whereas Rennie, not so much. And I know that's because she lives on like the other side of America, or wherever she lives. Totally get that. Yeah, I don't know if we can really say in comparison to Rennie, he just looks like a good parent. I think he's significantly better than Rennie, and just because he is there for her when she needs him to be, and that's a sign of a good parent. I know parents can't always do that, but he's there for almost every time, if not every time. And you know, I don't know, that's got me thinking. I'm not gonna lie, that's got me thinking. I know what this user is trying to say, because Charlie's not a particularly great, enthusiastic, emotionally supportive father, but I think luckily for him, Bella doesn't necessarily need that, so maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing for her. That's really interesting. I don't know. This has got me, it's got me thinking. I think I'd have to disagree with that, or a bit of both, because I get what this user's trying to say, but in comparison to Rennie, I would actually say Charlie's a better parent, because he genuinely cares. He's almost always there for her when she needs him to be. It isn't often, but he is. He provides very practical support. He provides that very masculine, what you expect typical dads to be like, you know, but he does try. And that's the thing. I don't know if Rennie necessarily tries. And when she does, it's so obvious that she's just doing it because she knows she has to. Whereas I feel like from Charlie's point of view, it comes from a more genuine place, like he genuinely wants to help his daughter. Whereas in comparison, I feel that Rennie only does it because she feels like she has to, because she's her mum. I don't know, guys. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That's quite, it's got me thinking, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I was like, I could do a whole video on that. All of the vampires we meet in Breaking Dawn should have been slowly introduced throughout the series, which would have made all of them uniting together more satisfying. Okay, so that's obviously about at the end. So in Breaking Dawn, the last book, we have in the second half of the book, we have all the vampires sort of coming together to stand against the Volturi, for Renesmee or Rasputin, whatever you want to call her. I don't see that as a problem. When you read Breaking Dawn, it is a bit overwhelming with suddenly we have all these onslaught of vampires. Well, like, we've heard of some of them throughout the book, we know there are others around, but to have them all suddenly like in one place, it is a bit overwhelming. Now, I don't know if that's intentional by the author, by Stephanie Meyer, to do that, because Bella and the Cullens feel a bit overwhelmed by it all, and that's saying something because they're quite a clan themselves, you know, so maybe that's intentional. Sometimes it's probably not, but it does get a bit overwhelming. I did get confused sometimes, especially on my first sit through of Breaking Dawn, because I remember being like, wait, what do they do, or who are they related to, or where were they from again? So it does get a little bit jarring, but I think I don't really have a massive problem with it, but I do see what the person's saying. It would have felt more kind of like, yes, we're united, you know, like, yeah, I get it. The impact maybe would have been better. Reconciliation comes across really creepy because she's a half vampire demon spawn and is meant to be creepy. Okay, so in case you don't know who they're referencing this user's referencing to, it's Bella's and Edward's child, who's called Renesmee, but in the Twilight fandom we make a joke because no one really tends to like Renesmee in the Twilight fandom, so they call it anything but Renesmee, so they call it anything with the R word. It's kind of like an inside Twilight joke in case you weren't aware. But for the sake of this, just so we know who we're referring to, I will call her Renesmee. So she comes across as really creepy because she's a half vampire demon spawn and is meant to be creepy. Yeah, there was always something off about her. Like, I think even like when I first read it, I was like, I did think she was kind of cute, but I did think there was something off about her. Like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It was almost like she was too perfect. Yeah, it was almost come across like she's not, and I guess she's not human, but like, it's just, I don't know, again, I don't know if that's intentional by the author. Something tells me not. She's kind of creepy, yeah. I get what this user is trying to say, and I agree. This user has added, blah, 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 Quileute tribe shouldn't have been used as werewolves in this story. It would have been better if werewolves weren't tied to a tribe, but instead a few individuals. Like maybe Jake is still a werewolf, but maybe Mike Newton is also a werewolf. Okay, that's really interesting. I've never had that thought. Now, I am going to mention, I know the author Stephanie Meyer has had a lot of controversy as using Native Americans, Indigenous Americans in a kind of like, you know, this kind of fantasy world and not really staying true to their own stories and myths and legends and all the rest of it. She's kind of done her own thing, and there's been some controversy about that. There's been some, you know, issues raised because, yeah, it's not the true story. If I'm being honest, like, I don't quite fully understand it. I'll be completely honest with you guys. All I know is that it's seen as not very respectful, which I kind of get. What, you know, I get it. It's not, I don't think it is particularly you know, respectful. Agree with the controversies raised, but I just, yeah, I don't know, this thing about like, let's not use the Quilliot tribe, let's use different people like Mike Newton. Can you imagine that? Mike Newton as a werewolf. Bella would fucking hate him. I still think Bella would hate him. Because, you know, Bella's like, I don't really like Mike. Mike's like, whatever. And he is, to be fair, he's fucking annoying. But could you imagine like him as a werewolf? That'd be so funny. That would make things so much interesting. It kind of goes on the verge, to me, personally, it feels a bit like Vampire Diaries. They did that a lot in Vampire Diaries, if I remember. So, yeah, interesting. I like that. Is that an unpopular opinion? Because I quite like that. I just can't imagine Mike Newton as a werewolf, but there we go. That would have definitely changed things. And I think it actually would have made like Edward and Mike Newton's beef more kind of valid. I don't know, like, I like it. Alice and Bella were barely friends. I wish we'd seen more of their relationship. It felt like they hardly knew each other. Then another user responded to this by putting, the books have more details of their friendship than the movies. However, I agree. It's one of those allegories where the reader has to assume their friendship is made strong by events that happen outside what the book tells us. The whole Bella and Alice friendship, I've never really understood. I'm going to be honest with you, because like they seem friendly. I just, knowing Bella, we know her. I say like, I know her, like I know Bella. But like, we know her as a reader. We know that she's very introverted. We know that she doesn't like a lot of attention or fuss, or she doesn't like to be the centre star. We totally get this. We know this about Bella. She's very, very, very vocal about it. And Alice is the complete opposite of this. She's the complete, you know, polar opposite of Bella. And somehow these girls are really friendly and like almost best friends. And I don't really understand it. Is it just because they're like friendly towards each other? I don't know. I've never really understood that. You know, we're just meant to believe because they have sleepovers occasionally in the books. They, you know, she treats Bella like a bit of a dress-up doll and likes to like play with her hair and makeup and clothes and things like that. And yeah, I get it, but I don't know. Does that necessarily make you best friends? I never really got that. You tell me, but like, I kind of get what this user's saying. And like, especially in the movies, like I said I wasn't going to really try and talk about the movies as much, but especially it's very clear there, because all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, are they, oh right, okay, are they friends? Okay, fine. Like, it doesn't make any sense in the movies, but in the books, like, it kind of does, because there's a lot of things that happen kind of where we're privy to that. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I've never really felt like they kind of knew each other for like barely a minute, and all of a sudden they seem very best friends. And I guess because like Alice was literally like we're best friends now because of her whole abilities to see that they were going to be friends or whatever. It just, to me, actually, yeah, that's it. It always felt forced. It always felt kind of forced. It always felt like Alice said, we're going to be friends, so we're going to be friends. So say you just met your boyfriend's family and his sister comes up to you and is like, we're best friends, by the way. Let's hang out tomorrow. Let's go shopping the next day. You'd be a bit like, whoa, okay, like maybe. But like, can we just like, you know, I've only dated your brother for like a month. Can we just, you know, can we just calm down? Yeah, I never really got their friendship. Like, it's cute, but I don't get it. I don't really get why they're friends when they're so polar opposite. But they're kind of opposite in the way that it kind of complements each other. So I get it. It's not really, but then no, they don't really, do they? Because they do go against each other quite a lot. Like, Bella's always moaning about Alice and going, for God's sake, Alice, and, you know, and vice versa even. So I don't know. Okay, this one is very telling if whether you are Team Edward or Team Jacob. Bella should have accepted Edward back in New Moon, or at least it shouldn't have taken him a long time to rebuild her trust. Or sorry, should have taken a long time. The guy left her behind and moved somewhere else. Sure, he had his reasons, but this was really bad. If it wasn't for the wolves protecting her, she would be dead by the hands of Laurent or Victoria. I agree. I have always been Team Edward, but as I kind of growing up and I'm rereading the books, I honestly have problems with Edward. Like, I like him, but he is very problematic. And even like as a teenager or like in my early 20s reading it, I always knew he was kind of like, there were things I didn't agree with what he did and said. But like as I'm getting older, I'm like, he's kind of got quite a few red flags actually, like quite a few, you know, quite a few. I got why he thought it was good to do it. I get that his intentions with that were weirdly pure because he just wanted to protect her. But Homeboy was like, he was like too much with that. He was so dramatic. And that's the thing about Edward. If Edward's anything, he is dramatic as fuck. And it's like, mate, not everything is about you. Just chill out, calm the fuck down. Like, but over a paper cut. Like, he was literally like killing himself over her having a paper cut. And I get it, like, yeah, it could have ended badly, but like, one time, chill the fuck out. Yeah, I don't think she should have taken back as quickly. The thing is with Bella, she's very obsessive, and you know, we've all been there, let's be honest, come on now, we've all been there with a guy, but like, it just feels like, yeah, girl, you know, like, let's let's not just take him back straight away. Let's make him work for it, you know. But no, I do agree with that. I don't think she should have taken him back quite so quickly. In fact, I think it would have been more interesting that we had a storyline where she was really, I mean, it kind of does happen in Eclipse, but like on the second half, but like I don't know, I feel like she should have been more torn between Jacob and Edward, and that would have been like dragged that out a little bit. I feel like that would have been better, because that would have made more sense there than it does when he comes back. She's like, okay, take you back. And then they have this whole like, oh, I don't know, actually, maybe I like Jacob. Like, that to me never really made much sense. It made sense for her to be like, question it when he came back. Because that would fuck you up. Like, I don't care how in love or obsessed you are with someone. If anything, the more love and obsessed you are with someone, when they come back after saying like, fuck you, basically, I'm going, you would probably be more like fucked up by that. Do you know what I'm saying? I love her, but Rosalie is a hypocrite. She didn't want the vampire life for herself and wishes people could have voted no for her. But she picks up a human Emmett to have him changed for her own benefit. I know Emmett was fine with it after the fact, but that action alone is selfish. Rosalie is a very, very interesting character in the Twilight series, because she's one of those characters you either love or you hate her. And honestly, I've always kind of liked Rosalie. I get why people don't like her. I totally get the hate. I don't know, there's something about her. Like, she is so fucking like determined, and I can relate to that. And she's so fucking like, she knows what she fucking wants. Like, she ain't fucking around. Like, she knows what she wants, and you have to respect people like that. Like, there's something about that. I love that. I love people that just know what they want from life and aren't afraid to get it. And like, I envy that, and I even admire it to some degree. So like, yeah, I get it. How she goes about it is completely weird and fucked up in all sorts of ways, but you know, I have to respect that. Like, I do, and call me out, guys, but I do. But yeah, the whole like that, when I think about it, it's kind of hypocritical of her, like, you know, like saying like, oh, I wish someone could vote for me, and then literally turning Emmett, well, asking for Carlisle to turn Emmett. Now, admittedly, Emmett was kind of dying at the time. Like, wasn't he mauled by a bear or something? So he was dying. I don't know. It's not like he just went up to her and wanted to say, oh, I quite like, you know, the whole vampire thing. Do you think you'll change me? In that case, I don't think this use is quite correct, because I guess technically, you know, Emmett could have chosen to die. Fine. But like, Bella's making quite an informed choice, you know, of becoming a vampire. Like, it's not like she's dying and she's got no other choice. She's making a very informed choice. And maybe, yeah, for Rosalie then to turn around and be like, well, no, I'm like, yeah, it's got me thinking, actually, is that hypocritical? Probably. Yeah, I don't know. I love her, but Rosalie's a hypocrite. I think to some degree, all of the characters are hypocrites, if you really think about it, like, to some degree. But that's humans, isn't it? And I know they're not technically human, blah, 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 but like, that's, I guess if anything, it makes them more human. You know what, maybe she was kind of wrong for that. Let's just leave that there. While Stephanie Meyer's, that's the author's, writing isn't perfect, I don't think it was as bad as the critics made out to be. Also, the whole glittery skin in sunlight was a refreshing take on vampire lore, yes. Yes. I have to admit, Stephanie Meyer, is she problematic? Yes. Yes, she is, to some degree. She absolutely is. But I've always thought Twilight on this, it is not badly written or wrote, whatever. It's really not. I've read a lot of YA, and I have to say, and maybe I'm biased, but Twilight has always come back as actually, out of all of the YA, I honestly think, and I'm trying not to be biased here, but Twilight is one of the better written ones. And I do remember quite specifically when I was in secondary school, my English teacher at the time, I was reading Twilight, and he was like, Twilight, he's like, okay, he's like, but I will say, he's like, it is wrote really well. As an English teacher, I will say that. So there you go. I mean, it was a secondary school English teacher, but you know, he was like saying that it was good writing, and like he was actually quite vaguely impressed by it. It's not bad at all. Like, I have seen so much worse. Like I said, it's not the best of the best. It's not anything like Shakespeare level, but it's pretty good. Like, it's not bad. And this whole thing about, oh, the glittery skin, that's so dumb, blah, blah, blah. It's fantasy. It's fucking fantasy. And at the end of the day, when all's said and done, is it really that bad? When it says sparkle in the sunlight, I really hate that annotation, because it's not really described like that in the book. It's like, it's not even glittering. It's like diamond shards. It's like, I have a diamond engagement ring, right? It's probably not doing this any justice. In the sun or in any kind of light, it looks beautiful. Like, and that's what it's meant to look like. It's not actually like shimmery glitter. I think people think it's like glitter. It's not glitter, okay? It's diamonds shining, and that is beautiful. That's what it is. That's what that author means. If you actually read the description properly, that's what it means. And that's what she's trying to say. And I think that's kind of cool, actually, and kind of new. You could almost see, and I think she does make reference to this in the book, the author, but where the myth came from vampires burning in the sun, because when they are in the sunlight, in the Twilight lore, they obviously glitter, and it's like, you know, like a diamond ring. It's like, but it's, you imagine there's little shards of it in their skin, so it's like they just completely, like, you know, it's blinding, so you can see why people think they're burning in the sunlight. Is that really unpopular? Because I think I don't care about that. Like, they glitter in the sun. That's cool. Like, why is that a bad thing? Okay, so this uses put the Volturi are kind of forgettable. I get that they are like the sovereign vampire rulers that controls everyone with an iron fist and tries to induct anyone they deem with a strong power into their cult, but the delivery felt underwhelming. Introduced in New Moon when Edward was going to have them kill him because he thought Bella was dead, and even though they came off creepy, it was easy to not think of them until the next book, but they just show up at the end to kill the rest of the newborns and then leave. They play a big role in Breaking Dawn as they are active threat this time, forcing the Cullens and the Quilliot Wolves to collaborate, but they ultimately leave when proven their presence was unnecessary. At least the movie gave us a battle scene, okay, blah blah blah, and it goes into the movie then. Yeah, do you know what? I never felt threatened by the Volturi reading that. I was all just like, why are you all scared of them? Like, there's like 12 of you and like 4 of them. No, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't always like that. I didn't really care for them. I just, yeah, they're vampire royalty. Why? Correct me here if I'm wrong, but isn't there a thing where like they were the original creators or something of vampires? If I got that right, is that why they're seen as like royalty, or was it just because they're the oldest known to man? They're the oldest ones at the moment in this kind of Twilight world, vampire world, whatever. If it is the fact that they are the original creators, and that's, I kind of get it maybe, but like just because what, they're like one of the, well, the oldest so far in that vampire world, the Volturi are kind of forgettable. Apart from like the second half of Breaking Dawn when all hell breaks loose in the battle, although that's again in the movie, not really the book. That's the only time I felt kind of threatened by them, I guess, was when that happened. And another time I suppose in New Moon when Bella goes to save Edward, and they were kind of creepy then. They've always been kind of creepy, but would I say that they're like, I feel threatened by them? No. If anything, they're almost quite amicable most of the time. So yeah, I never really got that. I don't know, maybe the author just didn't really build them up as well as she could have, but yeah, because Bella would be like, I'm having nightmares about them. Like, why? Why? They're not going to do anything. Like, the worst they'll do is just turn you into a vampire. They've even said that, so, and you want that, so don't worry about it. I think I'm going to wrap it up around here. This is my last one because this actually made me laugh a little bit. Carla and Esme's age are ridiculous for me. I kind of accepted it when I was reading as a teenager. Didn't really pay much attention to it, but now as an adult, absolute nonsense. Well, the author could have easily written them at least mid-30s. No way a couple that age could pass as adopted parents of 5 teenagers, just no. That's so true actually, because when I was a teenager, again, like this user, when I was a teenager reading this, I don't really think much of it, because aren't they meant to be like 23 or 20? I think Carla's 23 and Esme's 26, right? So yeah, that's really odd. Like, what, and they've just adopted 5 teenagers? I mean, like, it is weird. Like, yeah, now I think about it as like a 29-year-old. Imagine me with 5 teenagers and I've adopted them at 23. No, like that wouldn't pass. Like, that's ridiculous. Maybe they put themselves slightly older. I don't know, because they could probably get away with saying like, oh, we're 28, maybe like late 20s or maybe even early 30s. But I do wonder if this was set in today's world. Like, they could probably live a lot longer in like one place, because you know, with like Botox and all those kind of procedures now you can have on your face, I was thinking like they could get away with it, couldn't they? Like, nowadays they could live a lot longer because they could just be like, oh, I've just had procedures done, and people wouldn't really bat an eyelid. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Like, but yeah, I have to agree. I always thought, like, now I'm like, to be honest though, as a teenager, I also was kind of weird. I was like, don't people think that's a bit weird? Like, they're only 23 and 26, but I didn't really think it that, because when you're like that age, you think, oh, that's really old. And then you soon get to that age and you're like, that's really young. And also, I don't want to compare it to movies, but let's just compare it for a bit. The actors did look a lot older in the film, which, yeah, when they're actually meant to be 23 and 26, which is insane to me. Who adopts 5 teenagers at that age? It's actually insane. There's also what you got to think about as well, like, if we're thinking of the book here, they adopt 5 teenagers. Those teenagers are going to look not that much older than them. Not like, yeah, obviously there'll be a bit of a difference, but not like massively so, especially as most of them are in their late teens. Like, aren't they most of them like 17, 18? I think the oldest is like Emmett's like 19, I think. I could have that wrong, but I think he is. And Carla's literally only a few years older than them. So weird. When I think about it, that's actually really weird. You know, this is what I mean about Stephanie Meyer, the author. She does some weird shit in those books, and we're like, why? And well, we know why, because obviously of her religion, she's a Mormon, but it's just, yeah, it's bizarre. I don't know, there's to me it just makes it more crazy and weird, and I kind of like it for that. Like, is that weird of me? Am I controversial? Probably. The thing is with Twilight, it's one of those things, just don't look at it too hard. Don't look at it too hard. Look at it at a distance and you'd be like, oh, actually kind of cool. But if you look at it if you get the microscope in, that's when you're gonna have problems. That's when you're gonna notice stuff. So don't think about it. That was been really fun though, guys. I did enjoy that. I might do a part 2, so if you're interested, let me know down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of those comments, and if you've got any unpopular Twilight book opinions, then let me know down below, because I might include it in the next video. Yeah, that was fun. I liked that. Yeah, so thank you guys, and I shall see you in the next video.